Oh my goodness, and we are back with another live one for all you Bi-Conics wrestling nerds out there. And welcome to what I'm redubbing what formerly was known as Pinfall Playback, which is, a review series we have. I'm now going to be referring to these pay-per-view reviews as the Ringmasters of Review, which is going to be the series that we are going to call our pay-per-view and PLE reviews from this one over from now on. So welcome to the first official Ringmaster review for NXT No Mercy 2023. As you can see, we have the Los Chicos Gordos team here back for this special review of NXT's No Mercy PLE on September 30th, 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Mikey, and joined is my lovely co-host, Will. Will, you unlocked an achievement from watching No Mercy. You've unlocked the achievement of First Blood, is what I'm calling it, because you have officially watched your first NXT pay-per-view.
I have indeed. And it was a good one, too. It was really good.
What a great one to pop Yo Cherry with.
That's fair. I mean, it was really good. I really enjoyed it.
I can't wait to get into this entire pay-per-view with you, Will. But before we jump into it, beat by beat, overall, what did you think of No Mercy and just your first experience with an NXT pay-per-view overall?
Well, I thought, again, I really enjoyed it. It's my first, and again, I thoroughly enjoy NXT and how they program, and I thought this was pretty good. It's we got our stories going, continuation. I mean, it had it, for the most part, like 90% of it was like huzzah, and that 10% was sort of which we'll get into later. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's one of the great things about NXT is it never feels as long as it is. I didn't realize that it was 2 hours, 2.5.
It was like 2.5 hours. Yeah, it didn't feel like it.
Not at all. I was like, oh wow, oh okay. But it felt like it just sort of flew by, fluidly, but it felt like it flew by. But no, I liked it. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, match by match. But again, I feel that for me, I knew going into this I was going to enjoy it because I've been enjoying all of NXT's pay-per-views so far this year. And with this being the third or fourth one for this year, they always have stellar pay-per-views, and this one was no exception. But man, I don't know. This one's tough. I'm gonna have to, before the end of the year, I'm definitely gonna have to go back and rewatch this one because I think this might be my favorite NXT pay-per-view this year. Just beating out my current favorite Battlegrounds, but we'll see what happens at the end of the year. But okay, so let's just jump straight into this. So let's talk about this pre-show match that we had, which I was kind of upset that it was not on the main card by the end of this, because by the end of this match, I'm like, holy hell, this was a great match. Mm-hmm. And then once the pay-per-view ended, I was like, we're going through my notes. I'm like, you know what? We could have switched some of these matches around. I would have rather seen this one as the main card, but you know what? I still thought it was a great match. So the pre-show match was Kaylani Jordan versus Blair Davenport. And again, what I love is that the thin story thread that they told with this match is, Kaylani and Blair are facing each other because they've had beef with each other. And honestly, Kaylani and Dana Brooke, who unfortunately got released during the cuts, were looking to work a program with Blair at some point during all this, because they were going after Blair because Blair is the tough girl, and Kaylani and Dana were looking to get that killer instinct and that edge. And boy, howdy did Blair deliver on that during this match. But I want to tell you something. I knew Blair was going to be amazing in this match. I have to give props to Kaylani Jordan because she shined in this match, and she was the star of this whole entire thing. This, oh my gosh, this was a fun pre-show match, and we'll talk about who won. But Will, what are your initial thoughts of Kaylani versus Blair?
Well, originally I thought this was going to be basically the Blair Davenport show, and it really wasn't. And 'cause, Blair is flashy, and you see her, and you're like, oh, there's Blair. But you're right, Kalani held her own in this one, and I was actually I was very impressed with her. I was like, because she was, it was lick to lick. I mean, it wasn't like I did not feel that like Blair was overshadowing Kalani. I thought she was pretty much right there with her the whole time. And this was a dang good match. I mean, this one, you're right. I were talking about it before we started recording. That this match should have been on the main card. It absolutely should have been. That's the one thing that I will say about NXT, that sometimes they put these amazing matches in their pre-show stuff or their countdown things, and it's like, and then you get into the actual episode or whatever, and it's like, wow, that match in the pre-show really outshone a couple of matches in the main card. And I'm just like, wow, why did you do that? Or was it just sort of a teaser, whatever? But man, that was a great match. After that match, I was like, okay, if we get this through the whole thing, I would be perfectly happy, because they delivered and I enjoyed it. I was on the edge of my seat. I wasn't sure who was going to win. I figured I kind of felt that it was going to be, who won, but I wasn't sure, actually, because there was a couple of times where I was like, it could have gone either way. So, but I really loved it. And I'm always saying that I think the women's matches sometimes outshine the men's matches. And this one was definitely one of those.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of my favorite moments in this match was towards the end, where I think Blair had Kaylani up on the top turnbuckle, and then Kaylani somehow reversed it and kind of threw Blair to the ground. And I was just like, I was like, I have not seen this before, Kaylani, and I'm excited. Like, again, I agree with you too. It was a foregone conclusion who was going to win this match, but Kaylani was no pushover, and this was a pretty even match. But ultimately, Blair's ferocity is what got her the win. But the match ended, and we're like, okay, this was a great pre-show match. This was awesome, but it did not end there, because who comes out to jump Blair Davenport from behind? But our homegirl, Gigi Dolan. I was just like, yes, this is what I want to see.
Yeah. Yes, this was great. And again, this goes back to NXT's great storytelling, because we've been getting snippets of their in a very, and I find it in a very comical way, which has really kind of pulled me and got me on board with it, is because in the middle of just random stuff, you will see Blair and Gigi in the background, just like destroying one another. It's like in that when we saw it when Wesley was leaving in this beautiful moment, and then all of a sudden here comes, I think it was Gigi attacking Blair at that one, and it was just like pure awesome chaos, and they built this so well. And then of course, Blair taking her out in the dark, and in the last episode, and it was just so. When Gigi came out, I was not surprised. I was actually kind of expecting it. I was just like, I was trying to figure out where she was going to come from. I was like, I know she's hiding somewhere. She's somewhere in this room, and I don't know where she is. And then, boom, there she was. And I was like, there it is. I love this. I love this so much. I absolutely love it.
Oh, I do too. I love this match. This is a great opener. And again, we did get confirmation later in the show, because even though it was a pay-per-view, we still got bumpers, which was funny to me. It's like, coming this Tuesday, Gigi Dolan and Blair Davenport. I'm like, yes, please give it to me now. It's gonna be great. So before we so I want to shout out whoever's idea it was, the production team, the art department, like whoever it was. Before we get into this first match, I just want to say
Yeah.
this is the best pay-per-view entrance, like the best pay-per-view like intro promo that I have seen this year, and I will not take any other arguments, ifs, ands, or
I,
buts about it.
I agree.
Listen, I am a child of the 90s, so I grew up on the Nintendo 64, and growing up as a kid in the 90s as a wrestling fan, you had No Mercy, WWE, Bring the Pain, Shut Your Mouth, like all those old school games. And the fact that they took that idea for No Mercy and to hype up all the matches that were happening, they literally made character models like the old school Nintendo 64 No Mercy game of all the NXT kids that were on the uh pay-per-view was, oh my god, that was so brilliant. I was like, best intro to a pay-per-view ever. I will not argue. I will take no questions about it.
I agree. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was clever and I thought it was fun. And I love the whole, like choose your character. It was like going, swapping through the characters and stuff. It was great. It was like, yeah, it really kind of, and I always say that, wrestling has such a great opportunity, and that's to get the younger generations into it. And this is a good way to get not just younger generations, because you're bridging that gaming gap, but to get there, these sort of folks your age, basically, children of the 90s, as you say, involved, because it's like, if I wasn't into wrestling at this point, and I had seen that, I would have been like, "What is this? This is cool. What are they doing?" Now, I will say the only thing I wish they had done is maintained it throughout the whole thing, because we sort of got it at the beginning in this big thing, and it just sort of like went away. And I would love, and like at the very end, if we'd gotten the game over, or something if they had just carried on because I love the idea of that choose your character, and but I would love to have seen it kind of mixed in throughout the whole event. But I did love it though.
Oh, absolutely. And this was a great opener, and I got really excited because we knew all the matches going in, but like most of these, unless they tell us, like we were told at the beginning, like a couple hours prior to the pay-per-view starting, we were told that Becky versus Tiffany would be main eventing No Mercy, and I was like, hell yes. I was like, give me a women's match. And then, one of the wrestling people that I follow on the social media is pointing out something, that Becky versus Tiffany, fun fact, is the first women's main event for a WWE pay-per-view since WrestleMania 37 in 2021. Like, it has been almost 2 whole years since a women's match has main evented a pay-per-view. So I'm happy that
That's cool.
I'm happy that Becky and Tiffany got to break that record, because the last 2 individuals that got to do that was for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania 37 between Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. And they also made history because they were the first 2, not only the first women's main event for WrestleMania history, but they were the first Black women to main event WrestleMania together.
Oh, very nice.
It was crazy. See, I'm trying to delay the inevitable because unfortunately we do have to talk about this opening match. So opening up No Mercy is the singles match between Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. Yeah, you can tell in our voices how we're excited is. But there's different reasons as to why. I think we both can agree this is for both of us, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think based on our conversations that we had off camera, I think for us, this is the weakest match of the pay-per-view, but for 2 different reasons. I will say, and I will say this, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but that's only because towards the end, it got somewhat better, but there was a lot of stuff that didn't connect for me personally. And it's unfortunate because I like Braun Breaker. I always has since NXT has rebranded itself into the current iteration that we have. But my biggest issue, and I'll go more into detail about it, once we analyze the match, I feel that we're just spinning his wheels right now. And I'm of the opinion that I think he should be going to main roster. He needs to go to main roster because he's just spinning his wheels right now. If we're not going to enter him into a championship program, like just send him to main roster. And I will say that again because I think last night 3 of these NXT kids I think are main roster ready to go, but we'll see where that goes. But man, this match was not that great. I love Braun, but I hate how we're using him. But Will, since you're more passionate about this than I am, why don't you just you have the floor unfiltered. We're far enough in. If you gotta like drop some things, drop the knowledge, drop the words, drop the tea, read people for filth, go off, sis.
Okay. Well, all right. So when I went into this match, I had to watch it objectively because I was like, I don't like either of these characters, and I don't care what happens to them. And the reason that is, and it's not because they are doing bad, they're doing badly at the characters, it's just that the characters have nothing to give me. I don't know what Braun Breaker wants to be. I think Baron Corbin wants to be the ultimate bad guy, but he's so bad at speaking that I immediately turn my ears off when he starts talking. I literally pull my phone out and go, I don't give a shit what you have to say. Because they need to send him out for elocution lessons. He needs to take a public speaking class. Braun Breaker, like I said, like in the last episode, there was so much going on with him. None of it made any sense. I don't know what he is. I think I know what he's trying to go for, but I'm not getting anything. And then this match happens, and the most interesting sadly, the most interesting thing that happened in this match is they went out to the audience. But then I think I sent a message to Mikey saying, oh, look, the only way they can make this match interesting is to go out to the audience. And that's what they did. And I was just like, come on. And it was just, I don't know why they were fighting. That's my thing. I don't understand why they were fighting. Is it just because they said, shitty words to each other? It's like, is that it? I honestly, as a spectator and as a theater professional, I don't know what either of these men want. You have to want something. And I'm not trying to go into too much theatrical stuff, but in theater, we have something called the Stanislavski system. And in the basics is objectives. It's all about your objectives, what you want. You literally ask 3 questions. What do I want? What's in my way? How do I get what I want? The very first question, what do I want? I don't know what their answer is. So without the what do I want, the other 2 questions won't make any sense. Because suddenly it's like, okay, Baron or Braun Breaker's in your way, Corbin. Wait, Baron's in your way, Braun. But I don't understand what you want. So whoever, the wrestling gods, the producers, whoever, you got to get these guys something. Because otherwise it's just, we may as well be watching MMA. Let's just watch 2 guys beat the shit out of each other for no reason. Because that's what it feels like right now. I know that, and I agree, Mikey, I think, I think I would like Braun Breaker more if I knew what the fuck he was supposed to be. But because I don't know what he is, or he doesn't know what he wants to be, I don't know what he is. So I can't get on board with him. I mean, when we were talking about this match last week, I was just like, I don't care who wins this match. I literally don't care. So I randomly, in our predictions, I picked Braun. And I literally, when the match came on, I was like, okay, what else can I do other than watch this match? Because I really have no interest in it. And then I watched it, just for clarity, I did watch the match. And yes, towards the end, it did kind of get better, but I still don't know what the purpose of this match was. I mean, nothing came out of it. I mean, really? I mean, okay, who won, and then it was sort of what? The same shit that we're going to get on a different day? So, I mean, that's literally what it feels like. It's like, okay, well, this happened, so next week, they're going to be going at it again. And it's like, why? Why? I just need a reason. That's all I want. I just want a reason why. If you give me a reason why, then I can get on board. But right now, I literally, you have the little whiny bitch who doesn't know who he is, and then you have the uneducated, unintelligible idiot, Cro-Magnon man, that just, whenever he opens his mouth, it's like, And I'm just like, I don't know what you want me to do with these guys. If you want it to be just, they're going to get in a ring and just beat the shit out of each other, then tell me that. I mean, if literally they could say that to each other, it's like, I want to get you in this ring, and all I want to do is just beat your ass. I can get behind that. But right now, I literally have no idea what this match was about. I know there's rivalry, but with a rivalry, there has to be something that the other one wants. And I don't know what they want. I don't know. And then I'm sorry, him riding that motorcycle into that match and that with all that exhaust coming out of it, I'm like, could you not? It's like, it literally just, it's like, wow, you are literally the low intelligence barbarian. That's what you are. Speaking in D&D terms. And it's just like, I don't know. And again, I don't have anything against these two men personally at all. But right now, these characters, I don't know who they are. I don't know what they want. And I don't know what you want me. I don't know what you want from me. And that's my biggest thing. And that's really boils down. That's what it is. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want to? Do you want me to have sympathy for someone, or what? Because I just don't know. So yeah, and this was for me this was the absolute weakest match in the entire event, and I hate that it opened it. That's what drives me crazy. I would rather have switched this with the pre-show ladies match, and it would have been so much better, so much better. So that is my thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and I'll let Mike talk now.
So again, I agree with my co-host in the sense that I feel that this was the weakest match for me, but for a different reason. So I agree that this was probably the weakest feud and technically the next match also had a weak build, but the match that we got next, I feel gets a little bit of grace because the original plan got thrown out the window. Like literally days before we were this pay-per-view, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but for me personally, this was the weakest match because we literally, outside of the one interaction that they had when we initially set this match up, and then the brawl that was throughout the go home show, neither one of these two were in contact or had any type of conversation or anything with each other. Whereas the rest of the matches, we literally had interactions either weeks going into it, or even we had a whole thing where everybody was interacting. And for me as a writer, what I want to see is that you need to give me a starting conflict. Like, why is it that they're fighting? What is the reason for it? If they want to, they literally could have said, hey, I think I'm the baddest. No, I'm the baddest. Okay, let's have a match and figure out who is the baddest, dude on the block on
And I could get
NXT.
behind that. I could get behind that.
But the reasoning that we got this feud is because they were reveling in the misery of Von Wagner getting his head caved in by the steel steps from Braun Breaker. And then I was just like, Baron Corbin had no like anything involved with that match.
No.
Now, had it been Braun versus Vaughn, I would have been okay with it because Vaughn's like, you almost took me out with the steel steps. Now I'm here to get my revenge. Let's fight. Like that, I would have been okay with. But throwing Baron into this feud made no sense to me. And what made even less sense to me is that I feel that Baron does not need to win because Baron's already an established main roster star. I think Braun needed to win here. And it's unfortunate that he didn't because, again, I like Braun Breaker. I have since NXT has developed into what it is now. He's been a staple with him and Carmelo and Tiffany and all of them. Like, these are the kids that started when the rebrand of NXT happened like 2 years ago. And for my co-host and for those of you who are new to NXT, to give you a little bit of rundown, Braun Breaker is the child of Hall of Famer Rick Steiner. So he's a Steiner kid, which we could spend a whole nother episode talking about how Rick Steiner is very homophobic and very anti-LGBTQ, IA plus, because I haven't told Will this story yet, but there was an interaction that our girl over from Impact, Giselle Shaw, have, and she was not okay with how Rick Steiner treated her because of the fact that she is transgendered, and it was horrible. It was horrible. I will tell you the story off camera because it was bananas, and I was like, "Oh hell no!" Yeah, so Rick Steiner is forever on my shit list. But back to Braun. I feel the problem is since Braun lost the championship title to Carmelo at Stand and Deliver earlier this year in April, he's kind of been spinning his wheels. And he's lost every single feud that he's been involved in so far. And I'm just like, what are we doing with Braun Breaker? I mean, there's hope that now that this feud with Baron is over, I would like to see Braun build his way back into the title picture. And at least it will be, for me personally, he doesn't need to win the title, but at least him versus our new NXT champion, spoiler alert, we'll get to it in a little bit. Like, that's a fresh feud I want to see. I just need Braun to have some sort of direction that we're going with him, because if they're not going to give him, just send him up to main roster. I've been saying he's been ready. I feel like he should have gone to main roster post Stand and Deliver and post WrestleMania with some of the other NXT kids that got called up. And I think he would do wonders there. But again, Baron to me didn't need to win this. And it just makes me sad because I like Braun as a wrestler and as a character, but he has not been given the proper creative to do anything. And this feud didn't serve a purpose to either one of the gentlemen. I mean, we got a distraction from Robert Stone, which allowed Baron to win. So what, is Braun going to go after, Robert Stone now, and then we get Vaughn versus Braun like round 2? Like, I don't know. It's just a messy build, and I don't like it. And it hurts me even more because as a fan of Braun, he hasn't been utilized correctly since his loss at Stand and Deliver. But that's just me. And Baron, again, I feel like doesn't need to win against the NXT kids. But now I'm trying to figure out, so where do we go with both of these? Like, what is Braun doing now that he lost? And what is Baron doing now that he won? I'm like, keep Baron away from the title scene. He does not need to go for a title right now. But who knows what's going to happen with that. But that is my piece on this match. Overall, I mean, if we didn't say it before, Baron Corbin wins via a distraction because Robert Stone tries to get into the ring and security holds him back, which allows him to hit the end of days on Braun Breaker to pick up the victory. And Baron Corbin beats Braun Breaker.
Another thing real quick I want to talk about and then we can move on or I just want to mention is one thing, and I don't know if many people pay attention to it, but it's the audience. The audience during this match didn't know what to do. You could watch them. They're like, what are we supposed to be doing? It's like they weren't enthused. They weren't like, there was some cheering and whatevering, but it literally looked like the audience didn't know what to do with this match. They're probably like me. They're like, what the hell's going on? Why is this match happening? Because I don't get it. But I was watching the audience during that match, and there was a lot of people just sort of like sitting there and not reacting at all. And it's like, wow. And I agree with you. There was no setup for this, like no true setup for this. I mean, it was just that one moment when Corbin and Breaker were in the ring together after talking about Vaughn, and then all of a sudden it turned into this, and I don't even know what this is. I truly don't know what it is. And I don't think the audience knew what it was either, honestly. So, but anyway, that's all I have to say about it. It finally ended, and I was like, hallelujah.
Literally, Will was sending me throwing up emojis. It was hilarious.
God.
So, Baron Corbin picks up the victory, and we move on to our next match. So, I will say, from here on out, minus the Heritage Cup match ending, because I'm going to go off on that a little bit, I feel like it was literally continuing to go up and up every match we got after the opener. So next up is our NXT North American Championship match, where we see the challenger, Trick Williams, taking on champion Dominic Mysterio with Dragon Lee as guest referee. So I alluded to this when we were talking about the first match between Baron and Braun, but this match also had little story built in the sense that Trick Williams is in the spot here, but I give that a little bit of grace and a little bit of forgiveness because the original person that was here got let go and fired from the company literally days before this pay-per-view happened. So Mustafa Ali was supposed to be in this match, and I am still of the belief that I think Mustafa was going to win this match and take the title off of Dominic. But then, with the merger between WWE and UFC, there was layoffs, and Mustafa Ali was one of those people that got cut. And this baffled my mind because of the fact that we literally been building this feud for a month and a half, and then all of a sudden, Mustafa Ali is no longer in the company, so therefore Dominic doesn't have anyone to face. So NXT had to pull together last minute at the go home show started as a triple threat and then turned into a fatal four-way to determine the new number one contender. And it so happened that Trick Williams won that fatal four-way, and now here he is in this match. So, okay. So Dominic continues to show that he is improving in the ring. And again, his character is whatever. I'm not the biggest fan of his character, but that's supposed to be the reason because Dominic's a little turd. But I like Dominic as the person and as a wrestler. And of course, I think he's putting in the work. And, I give him a little bit of grace because I can't imagine being the amount of pressure that he's under, given the fact that his father is Rey Mysterio, one of the greatest luchadors in WWE ever, who is still wrestling on the main roster, mind you. But I'm going to be honest, this was Trick Williams' show the whole entire match, and it should have been. This was his coming out party as a singles competitor. My God, Trick Williams killed it, and honestly, I love the story we were telling. Like, Dragon Lee got kicked in the face, and he got knocked out for like 7 whole minutes. Then Dominic Mysterio pulled a No Mercy and just like bumped the ref and pushed him to the floor for the second time. I honestly, and they made me believe I thought Trick was going to lose here because every time he went for the pin, no ref was there to count him. And then I thought Dominic was about to hit him with the title towards the end. But man, Trick had a counter to what Dominic was trying. And this was a decisive clean, unlike the Fatal 4-Way where he accidentally won. He decisively won this match. And even though Dragon Lee gave him a slow count, your winner and new NXT North American champion, Trick Williams. And this was the first moment I screamed at my television because I was beyond happy. Now, I want to address the naysayers online, right? Yes. What was Trick supposed to be here? Obviously not. I think Mustafa was supposed to be here. But do I think Trick was the right person at the 11th hour to be the one to take it off and win it? Yes, because I think with Mustafa being fired and let go from the company, I honestly think this was probably the plan. They just pushed it up the timetable way up, which I also think goes to play into why the result of the NXT championship match ended in the way it did. But man, this match was a lot of fun. Dominic being a little turd, Dragon Lee getting his shit rocked, so to speak. And Trick Williams, like, man, I was already a big a fan. Him winning made me even more of a fan of how genuinely happy he was. Like, he almost fell when he was jumping for joy at the end when he realized he won. And I don't think it even settled in for him. Like, wait a minute, I won. Holy shit, I won. Like, it was great. Will, what is your thoughts on Trick Williams versus Dominic and Trick being our new NXT North American champion?
Well, I agree. This match was chaos and fantastic. I thought it was the Trick Williams show. Absolutely. He was hungry for that title. He was hungry for it. And you could tell, the way Dominic kept trying to run away, which I thought was fantastic. He went down, he got the belt, and he's like, "No, I'm out of here. I'm done with this. I'm leaving." And I was just like running like a little bitch boy. And he tried it twice. Actually, he tried to get away twice, and Trick was like, "No, sir, I don't think so." I thought that. And I think I was sending text messages to Mikey, and I was like, "Poor Dragon Lee." I mean, he got hit, and he was out, and then Trick pinned, and there was no ref, and then here comes the ref, and he got a 1 count on it before Dominic kicked out, and then it was just like, oh my God, what is happening? I didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh my God, can we please get this match under control? We need a referee in this damn ring. Get somebody in this ring. And then he came, and then of course Dom him, and he was down, and I was just like, what is happening right now? And so the two of them kept fighting, and again Trick was like, they were pinning, and it was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I was sweating. I was like, what is happening right now? And then finally Trick got the pin. Dragon Lee drug his ass up on there and then counted it out, and Trick won. And again, I was also very excited about this. Because I've been a Trick Williams fan since the beginning, since I started watching. Excuse me. And I'm excited to see where this journey takes him. And to the naysayers and stuff and all that, it's like, shut up. Let the man have his time. Let the man have his time. Like, truly. He was happy. He was excited. And it was like, why do people want to piss on people's parades? I don't get it. He's excited. He's happy. And it makes for good storytelling, because I'm excited to see where this story goes, especially between him and Carmelo Hayes. Because all the previous episodes, all that Carmelo has done is sort of basically diss him the whole dang time. So I'm curious to where this is going to take him. He's got his championship, and it's like, okay, so now what I'm curious to see is what we get from Trick. Now that he is the North American champion, I'm curious to see where his character goes. I hope, and I really hope, that he stays true to himself and doesn't pull a Carmelo Hayes, where that sudden shift in character, I really hope he stays grounded. I really do. But I'm celebrating him. I tell my actors and things, it's like, celebrate your victories. Don't worry about your losses. Celebrate your victories. Because losses will only help you achieve victory. So I'm celebrating with Trick Williams in this victory for him. Even if it is short lived, it is still a victory for him that he was excited about, that he wanted, and he achieved. So I'm celebrating it with him. And this was a damn good match. And even, and I really do, and I agree with you also. As a wrestler, I really like Dom. As a character, not so much, only because it's gross. But as a wrestler, though, I like his moves, man. I really do. When he wasn't running away like a little bitch boy, when he was actually fighting, I was like, oh yeah, you're good, man. I like you as a wrestler. And and I'm gonna give him props because I don't think I'm supposed to like that character. So good for him. And that's a huge compliment, that I hate his character so much that I'm literally just like, ugh, I don't like you. Oh, you're so gross. And the t-shirt he was wearing, I was like, I can't even. I just can't. The whole man, it makes me want to throw up every single time. But no, this was a great match. And again, I am super, super thrilled for Trick. Super thrilled. And I cannot wait to see where it goes. And I can't wait to see where Dom goes from this too. Because now that he's not the champion anymore, I wonder if Mommy is going to be all that interested in him. So I'm curious.
I'm very interested to see. Now, I know that news reports state that there are, as of right now, there are no current plans for Dom, from October on. Who knows if that might change? But now I'm interested to see on main roster to see what happens with not just Mommy, but the rest of Judgment Day. The fact that Dominic lost the title and he no longer has a championship, where everybody else in Judgment Day has a championship now. So I'm very interested to see how that plays a part into it. Last thing I will speak on for this, I did see a news outlet and on Trick Williams' social media too that he was celebrating with his mama backstage, and that was like the most beautiful picture ever. I was like, oh my gosh, see, I love the behind the scenes stuff where you realize it's like these wrestlers are human beings and they have actual feelings, and like the families are super supportive. I love them so much, and this was a great start. So next we get the chaos that is our NXT Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way, which we see the Creed Brothers versus Los Lotharios versus Out the Mud versus the champions, the family. Okay, so I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I enjoyed this match. I thought it was a lot of fun, but I had some issues with it. And here are my two big issues with this match. Number one, I feel like the first half of this match was kind of slow and a little kind of rough in areas to get started. But then once the second half kicked in and all hell broke loose with everyone just doing everything and anything, that's when it enjoyed it for me. My second issue with this match is there was no, I mean, granted that Tony D'Angelo has a previous injury and he was away for a couple of weeks on television. But to me personally, there was not really any good story reason or any logical reason why Tony had to be out for like the majority of this match and then come in and literally do like WrestleMania, like start up the band, like super Hulk smash kind of energy towards. I was like, that was really weird to me. And I didn't understand. Now, granted, it allowed Stacks to, prove that, he's great. But the problem is like there was no real reason to take Tony out of this match the way that they did. Like I thought for sure, at first I was like, oh my gosh, did he legit get hurt? Like, oh, that is crazy. And then when he came back, I'm like, oh no, they worked me. How dare they? They've been using the spot way too much this year, and I'm kind of getting sick of it because now I'm worried. I was like, oh my gosh, what if somebody really gets hurt? And then you don't make me believe they actually really get hurt.
Right.
I'm gonna say like this was a fun match. I will say though, the Creeds were the MVPs of this match.
Yeah, they were.
Listen, just between Julius's raw athleticism from just like suplexing people left and right to what, the 3 cannonballs that Brutus did like throughout the match. I was just like,
man.
I will say, like, the Creeds killed it. Los Lotharios had some fun stuff towards the second half of the match where they did their kicks. Out of the Mud still needs a little bit of work, but that makes sense because they are the newer kids in NXT, so they need work, and this is their first pay-per-view, so hopefully they'll improve. But man, I'm gonna be honest, I'm happy to see the family retain, but honestly, I was kind of secretly rooting for the Creeds to take the titles too. I feel like the Creeds are long overdue based
I
on
was too.
everything we've seen.
I was too. I was kind of hoping. I was like, maybe. No, okay. So, yeah, I agree with you, though. I don't understand that injury thing. I was just like, because I, too, was like, oh, dang, is it, like, legit? Like, this is, like, a legit injury? And then I was like, oh, they took him off. And I was like, oh, crap. And then I was like, oh, shit, Stax is out there all by himself getting his ass kicked. Like, I mean, he was literally getting his ass whooped. And I'm just like, and then he got into it and he was getting some licks off. But I mean, it was like, I agree. I don't like the image that it, well, that's the wrong thing. I just don't.
For me, it's a trope that constantly gets used, and like it doesn't, unless it is used to as like an auxiliary tool to enhance whatever story is being told. Like, I would be fine with it, but there was no hint of like, oh, there's a lingering injury going into this match, and there was no stories like, oh, Tony's struggling, and like,
right.
And honestly, when it happened too, I would have believed it more, and I would have been more okay with it had the teams like did their research, be like, yo, Tony's got a lingering injury, let's attack the knee. I didn't see anybody attack that knee.
No, I agree. No, I think, what it said to me when I was watching it is that basically it's like, you can't win without me. And I'm like, if you're trying to tell us that that you're stronger together, this is not the way to do it. Because this literally was like, hey, you're getting your ass kicked, I'm going to come in and save the day. Is exactly what it felt like. And I was just like, so I had an issue with that too. I was very much like, this feels icky. And I agree with you, because not once through all of the build-up to this story did we ever get, oh, my knee, oh, that injury I had, or, ooh, I need to work this knee out, I need to make sure it's strong for the next, for the No Mercy. We never got anything like that. So I didn't even know he had an injury from a previous whatever. So that's why I was like, oh, damn. Did he literally just get his knee blown out? And then when he came hopping back in there, I was like, oh, okay. All right. Okay, I see now. So I didn't care for that either. And I really felt bad for Stax too, because it's like, what does that say about you, man? That you could not have won this on your own, type of thing. That was my big thing. So I was just very much like, what is this? And I'm going to double say, hell yeah, I wish the Creed brothers had kind of won this match, because, man, when Julius was doing those suplexes, I was just like, damn. Every one of them. He got one on every single one of them. And I was just loving it. And you're right. And Brutus doing those cannonballs into the outer ring area. All right. You guys rock. I love you guys. And they're so wholesome, too. That's what's so great about them. When, they're like, when he hurt his knee, and they were very much like, whoa, back away, guys. They were literally like, not taking advantage of it like other people were trying to, because some of the other teams were trying to take advantage of it. And they were like, no, back away. And I was like, aw, like how wholesome they are. And then drinking their milk at the dinner party. I know.
Be big, strong boys when they grow up.
Exactly. But no, I agree. I think you're right. I think this match got better in the second half. It started off sluggish. And Los Lothario, man, they didn't hardly have any screen time. I was kind of surprised.
That's what I was saying. Out the Mud got more screen time than, Los Lotharios,
And
which
we
I was shocked with. I was like, we had this awesome, like, cheesy telenovela, like, sequence of things, reintroducing them to the rest of the NXT audience. And what I'm hoping out of this is that Los Lotharios will get another shot, like, maybe one-on-one. But right now, based on this match and everything that we've gotten so far the last, like, 2 months or so, I really think that the Creed should be the ones to get those titles off of the family. And I mean, we'll talk about it later, but we did get confirmation. We got the date for the final NXT pay-per-view this year. And then I'm going to talk about what I'm really excited about because they announced the next TV special too for NXT. And this is going to be the first time that this particular television event is a 2-week thing instead of just 1 week. So we'll talk about it when we get there. But the family retain after Tony comes back from injury, as I put it in air quotes, and literally like Hulk smashed everyone with stacks and ultimately pins Out the Mud for the victory to retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. I'm hoping the next time that the family defends the titles, I would prefer it to be one-on-one because normally I like fatal four-ways, but I think for me, you probably want to have teams that are on the same level. Like it, me personally, if I was looking at NXT, I would have, if this was going to still be a fatal four-way, I would have, honestly, I would have had the family and the Creed still be in these spots. I would have taken Los Lotharios out, honestly, based on the other tag teams we have in the division. Honestly, I would have taken them out, and then if you needed to, like, really put I would put Hank and Tank in this match. I thought they would have added something different to this match. And then, honestly, if you wanted to throw a random tag team in here, like Chase, you would have been great in this spot too. Like Andre Chase and Duke Hudson, I think would have been great in this spot as well because both of them are more experienced in the ring. So I feel like that would have been fine. But overall, this match wasn't bad. I still enjoyed it. This first half was okay. Second half really kicked it off. I just didn't like the Tony D'Angelo spot. And I also didn't like how Los Lotharios really didn't get to do much in this match either. And their temporary tattoos did look better this episode. they
did.
Better.
They did. They didn't peel off. I did watch. So they weren't as glossy this time around.
And I will give a little bit of credit. Like we did discuss how the last time we saw Out the Mud in a promo, there was a lot of racial undertones and stereotypes. I was actually okay with them coming out in like the hoopty bikes because that is a West Coast thing. And I was like, oh, okay, if they're gonna be West Coasters, then I'm cool with that because that literally is a thing out here in California.
Yeah,
the big old hoopty bikes.
The whole street dice thing. I was like,
I feel like Shawn Michaels watches this podcast.
Yeah, I know, right?
Seriously, where are the residuals, Shawn Michaels?
Right.
On our residual checks.
Exactly. But I do agree with you. I was okay with the hoopty bikes too. I was like, okay. And that would literally, when it happened, I was like, oh, hallelujah. I was like, thank God. Because I thought, please do not walk about here with some straight up racist shit. I was going to just be like, I'm done.
Like, turn off.
Yeah.
Fast forward, like, go to the bathroom.
Yeah. But they didn't. I was like, okay, good. I like that too. I did like that a lot.
Oh, definitely. So we get our first like backstage segment that kind of mattered because Carmelo is mentally preparing himself for his match against Ilya, and then Trick comes in with the championship, and boy, did Carmelo's attitude change like that on a dime because the last couple of weeks he's kind of been dismissive of Trick, and I honestly think that Carmelo was genuinely happy, but I was like, where was all this energy before, bro? Like, you weren't giving your homie the time of day, and now that he's champion, now you want to give him time? No, ma'am. Like, what is happening? And Trick, baby, I love you. You are so wholesome and sweet. But I was like, sir, we're about to enter betrayal is on the horizon because we'll talk about it at the end, but I was like, damn, Carmelo's attitude changed on a dime once Trick came in and he had championship gold.
And I sent you a message going, I don't know what this is. I don't like it. I was like, I don't know what this is, and I don't like it. Because
when we get to the end, I will give my full blown conspiracy theory and character motivation for what we're possibly about to get. But
yeah,
after the backstage segment, we enter into our next match, which is for the NXT Heritage Cup, where we see champion Noam Dar defending the cup against Butch. Okay, so Will's already preferencing it. We're about to go off because, okay, let me start with the good, and then we'll go into like yelling at the atmosphere and the bookers for this match. So I will admit that the first two rounds were a little lackluster. They did kind of start off slow, but once Butch got his first victory in round 3, because okay, so Dar gets the first victory in round 2, then Butch gets the victory in round 3. From round 3 onwards until the end, it was bananas. Like this, it kicked into like second, third, and fourth gear for me, and they were doing stuff. I was like, Butch out here breaking fingers, breaking hearts, breaking necks, like. And Noam Dar was no slouch either. Like Dar kept up so much with Butch and just the offense. And I actually really liked how little Metaphor and Tyler Bate interfered, like until they needed to. Like I was really happy to see that Metaphor really didn't interfere as much as I did.
yeah.
And when they did, it made sense in the context of what was happening. It's like, you know what? This kind of makes sense. This was a lot of fun, hard hitting. I was just like elbow breaking. And I was like, you know what? If Dar wins clean here, like I am totally okay with this. Like I'd be sad that Butch lost, but I picked Dar to win, but I would be fine with it. And then the final round happens. Like it was going fine. And then all of a sudden I see rugby jerseys. I'm like, oh, you got to be freaking kidding me. At first, they just attacked Tyler Bate. I was like, okay, cool. Like, they might have beef with Tyler. Like, that's cool and everything. And while the ref was distracted, Joe Coffey was in the ring. Noam Dar got knocked the fuck out by Butch. And this is where I got mad. So Joe Coffey literally bulldozes Butch by hitting, the bells, which is Joe Coffey's finisher, which allowed Noam Dar to pick up the victory and retain the Heritage Cup Championship. Okay, so NXT bookers, we got to have a talk right now. To me, it made no flippin' sense to have this schmoz of a finish from Joe Coffey. I was just like, to me, narratively, does not make sense. Like, I understood he was upset that Butch beat him in the finals on the Go Home show to face Noam Dar, but Butch won that fight fair and square. Like, he won clean. There was no cheating. There was no schmoz. There was no shenanigans. Had any of those three things happen, I would have been like, okay, it makes sense a little bit. Butch did some shady stuff to get this match and how he won the spot. And then I can understand Joe's frustration. But it makes no sense for me for Joe Coffey to attack Butch, given the fact that Butch beat him square, fair and square. I don't care if he's a heel and he's a bad guy. Like, you gotta make it make sense for me. And I was so irritated because this was a fantastic match. And up until that point, like, I honestly was like, this is possibly going to be in my contender for like figuring out what I think my top match is going to be. And then this ending happened, and then immediately took it out of the running for me because I was like, I hated this ending. I hated this more than the opening match, and that's saying a lot. Like the opening match irritated me. This legit pissed me off of how it ended. I was like, oh my god, are we kidding? And I get we're getting Gallus versus Butch and Tyler Bate, but like this did not need to happen during this championship match, especially. There was no, like, the motivation for Joe Coffey makes no sense to me. Will, go ahead and I'm going to tag you in because, like, I can go on for days about this, but I need your thoughts on this.
Okay, so I totally agree. This match was fantastic until the end. I was in it. I was on this like glue, and I was so excited, and I was like, both of these wrestlers were fighting their asses off, and then the end happened, and and this is where I am. This is why I am pissed off. Is because this moment negated the entire championship thing that they did. Although the Group A and Group B and it negated all of it because it's like it would have been far better if they were going to interfere and have him interfere. They should have interfered with Noam Dar and had Butch win the match, and then Coffee could have been like, "Now we're going to rematch, bitch." And that would have been a better ending for me. I would have been like, "Okay, that's cool." But for him to come in and do that to Butch and Tyler, it literally negated that whole championship they ran. I feel like I literally wasted all that time because Butch didn't get a fair chance and he won those matches fair and square, and I'm going to give it to Butch. He didn't cheat. He didn't do anything. He brought Tyler out with him because he knew that Metaphor would probably try something or that, and so I respected him for that. I respect Butch. I mean, I just respect Butch because he's great. And I think he was cheated out of this match. He was completely cheated out of this match. And this is not me being pissy because this all happened. Literally, Joe Coffey coming in there, doing what he did, negated that whole thing. This is like literally going, oh, well, shit. Now we've got to start all over again. And I'm not here for that. I am not here for that. We got that. Those men fought their asses off to get where they were. Butch was fighting Joe. He won fair and square. There was no cheating. There was no anything. There was nothing there. He literally won that match fair and square. So if Joe has a beef, then he should have taken Noam Dar out, let Butch get the title, and then challenge Butch to the title. That's what he should have done. And I was so angry. I haven't been this angry since the last thing that we did. And I was just red in the face. I was so mad. I was just like, I was so pissed because, again, I was cussing the programmers and the story folks. I was like, this was bad storytelling. Absolutely bad storytelling. And I was so mad. I was so mad. So yeah, that's I can't. That's it. I just I'm so
it's like my blood pressure.
Seriously, and I'm just oh my god, I'm so mad, and I was loving this match. And you're right, this was becoming like my favorite match of all.
This was in contention to be one of my favorites, but the ending really sucked all the wind out of the sails, and I was just like, really, this is what we're doing?
Just ruined it. And now I have no respect for Joe Coffey at all. Like that character, I have none. I have no interest in him anymore. And he's a hot guy, and I have no interest because I'm just like, you screwed that up, dude. That's your fault. That is your fault. So when it comes back on you, which I'm pretty sure it's going to, because I think Butch is going to be like, you and me, bitch. And I think Butch is going to annihilate him again. And it's like, see? This is what you get for fucking around with shit. Fuck around and find out. You're about to. So, okay.
So I want to preface by saying I don't like seeing my co-hosts get angry, but it makes good content because we're passionate people who watch this product and watch this pay-per-view, and we care about the stories and the characters that are on our television screen, just like any other sport. And for me, like, you're absolutely right. Joe Coffey going in and kind of like, it took him 30 seconds to negate the whole entire, last month we've had this global invitational happening.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. And even though it does set up Gallus versus Butch and Tyler Bate, where we get, on NXT, I'm just like, okay, sure, fine. I think that match is going to be fun. But now where do we go with Noam Dar? Because Butch and Tyler are going to be busy with Gallus for a little bit. I mean, the only other person I can think of is Nathan Frazier is still
Yeah.
looking to get a rematch against Noam Dar for the title since, Noam took it from him. But I feel like it negated the whole entire global
It did.
heritage invitational tournament that we
Totally.
had. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, again, this match, the match itself, if you don't count the ending, I think was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we got from round 3 all the way to the end, because both men kicked it into high gear and it was awesome. But the little 30 seconds that we got of Gallus destroying Tyler Bate and Butch really soured me on this win. And I think that's what sucks for me personally is that I picked Noam Dar to retain, but I wish he retained it. Honestly, I
Yeah.
rather would have preferred him to retain it from like a metaphor in like interference
Yeah.
rather than an outside
Yeah.
third party. Like, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I don't care what Joe Coffey's reasoning was for what he did, because I'm like, it's just gonna be an excuse, and the reasoning is very thin as it is now. So again, this had the potential to be a baller match in my top
Yeah.
2 for sure, but the ending really soured it on me, and it sucked because outside of that ending, this was a phenomenal match.
It was. And also to touch on it real quick, the whole Gallus versus Butch and Tyler thing could have happened without this.
It really could have. We didn't need to have a championship match
This
to
was
do
too
this.
big. This was too big to do something like that. That should have been in a regular episode.
The
Where
crowd was so against it when it was
my
happening. They
God,
were
they
booing
were.
a storm. I was just
What I'm
like,
telling you,
yes.
the audience, man, listen to your audience because they were not happy.
The audience was great for this pay-per-view. Like,
They were.
we'll talk about them during the main event because they were so great during that one.
Yeah,
But
they were.
again, this Heritage Cup match could have been awesome, but the ending really soured it, and it's sad because the match itself was great. The ending just sucked. I was like,
Yep.
all right. So
Yep.
from here, normally I don't write down any important news that breaks during these pay-per-views, but I have to because they like to advertise these things. So we get confirmation that the final pay-per-view for NXT is going to be NXT Deadline, coming from Bridgeport, Connecticut, I believe it's going to be at. So any of the Bi-Conics folks who live out near that area, y'all should go check out Deadline. And it was also announced that Deadline will see the return of the Iron Survivor Challenge, which is a weird stipulation, which I cannot wait to get Will to watch because, like, the rules don't make a lot of sense, but it is a lot of fun to watch anyways. And it will be the final pay-per-view for NXT this year in December. I like that NXT spaces out their pay-per-views like every 2 months or so. So I was just like, I like that. So it's not every month we get a pay-per-view. And I'm just like, yeah. We also get confirmation that we are now entering spoopy season, as I like to call it, because October is upon us, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary folks out there. And we get confirmation that we are going to get the return of the TV special Halloween Havoc. But for the first time in NXT's history, Halloween Havoc is going to be a 2-week event. So week 1 will be Tuesday, October 24th, and then the second week of Halloween Havoc will actually be on October 31st, since Halloween is on a Tuesday this year. So we're actually going to have Halloween Havoc on Halloween. I'm excited. I hope Shotzi comes back and hosts because she's great at that, and that's what she does also in her real life too. Shotzi for main roster, love you, girl. Say hi. Her and Professor worked on a horror film together. It was great. So I'm excited for Halloween Havoc. And again, Heatwave was a lot of fun during the summer, and I can't wait to have Will watch Halloween Havoc, and we'll see what we get for those TV specials. Okay, so gird your loins because literally these last 2 matches, Will, ooh, I was like, again, I was just like, I was like, that was literally, I was just nonsensical the whole entire 2 matches. So let's start with the semi-main event, the NXT Championship match between Ilya Dragunov challenging Carmelo Hayes for the title. My God, I need a moment.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so the match they put on at Great American Bash is still in my top like 5 men's matches of the year and my top 5 matches, period, regardless of gender. I wasn't sure if they were gonna meet or exceed what they did at Great American Bash, and oh my god, they met my expectations and exceeded them. Ilya Dragunov was the star for this entire match, and I don't want to discredit Carmelo because he pulled out some tricks that I have yet to see from him, and I was happy, but my god, this was a star-making performance for Ilya. Like, the brute, I was like, I want to know if Ilya realizes that professional wrestling in this kind of context is not real, because this man is willing to die and get hurt and go batshit crazy when it comes to whatever it takes to win a match. Because Ilya was out here like picking up Carmelo, jumping from the top turnbuckle, literally doing like headbutt missile drops, like with his head flying off the top rope.
It's crazy.
He caught Carmelo when Carmelo tried to like do the code like breaker on him and picked him up and then power bombed him. And I was just like, this match ruled so much. Like, these men went back and forth. It was so close. Lots of false finishes. And then Ilya Dragunov hits his finisher, the suit, literally like a top rope, just jump and headbutt and punch somebody at the same time. And Ilya Dragunov is your winner and new NXT champion. And I was screaming at my television with so much elation and joy. Will, talk about this match, man. This match fucking ruled. But what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I will have to say this is probably going to be in my top matches of all since I've been watching. This is it. For me, in the men's divisions, this one was everything I could have hoped it would have been. I was, even after the contract signing, which I thought was a little lame, this match did not disappoint, like, at all. At any point, did it disappoint? I was so on the edge of my seat with this match because Ilya was just vicious. I mean, I see why they call him the Mad Russian or whatever. I get it, because he's cray. And I love the look in his eyes when he gets all crazed, and and it's like, and I felt bad for Carmelo at times, and I can't stand Carmelo, and I really kind of felt bad for him for a little bit because Ilya was just pounding him. I was just like, good Lord. There were a couple times I'm like, how are you still alive? Like, Carmelo, how are you still conscious? I mean, with some of the hits he was laying on him, I was like, oof. Now, with that being said, Carmelo did hold his own. It wasn't like, he didn't get anything in at all, because he did. And these two men were fighting like their lives were on the line. And in essence, I kind of guess they were, really, because, Carmelo had something to prove. Ilya had something to prove. And I think that even though Carmelo didn't win, I still think he proved himself capable of like fighting Ilya on his own with no one's help. He held his own. And again, this is why I love Ilya. God bless this man. He is so classy. And I know I throw that word around a lot. But at the end of the match, he praised Carmelo. He like shook his hand, hugged him. He talked to him right to his face that, you were amazing. That to me, that is such, I love that. And that just was like cherry on top of this beautiful Sunday. And I was just, oh man, this match was just beautiful. It was art. I watched art being created in front of my face. I was just like, this is amazing. And again, neither of these men let up. No one was holding punches. Man, they were in the ring, out of the ring. It was everywhere. It was just fantastic. And and of course when Ilya won, I was very like woo, because I just didn't want Carmelo to win this one, and only because, and it's probably petty of me, but that's okay. I'm a petty bitch sometimes, and that is because the way he was treating Trick. I was really like, you know what? You need to be knocked down a peg. And I think that's what happened here, and I am pretty okay with it. And I think it's great that it was Ilya that did it. I don't think I don't think that this match would have been at all as what it was if it were someone other than Ilya in that ring with him. I mean, this was, all the shit talking between these two men that we got over the month or so. I mean, it led to this, and I was not disappointed. I get individually this match. This is my A+ match for the night, and I mean, because it was so good. God, it was so good, so good. So this one, men's matches. This is like in my top right now. I mean, truly, oh, it was so good. Yay, Ilya! Woo!
Oh my goodness, like I again, I wasn't sure if Ilya and Carmelo could top what they did at Great American Bash back during the summer at that pay-per-view. But man, this match ruled as well. And I'm really happy to see Ilya be champion because now I think he was ready to go when he first came to NXT. Like coming over from NXT UK when it got shut down, I already knew what he was capable of. Like this man's a star, and I'm excited to see his title reign. I'm excited to see fresh new feuds. And with Ilya winning, that just means that my hopes of what I want to see is that eventually, when Ilya is ready to drop this title, I believe Wes is the next one that should take that title and run with it. I think Wesley ultimately should be the goal eventually down the line. I think Wes should be the one to take the title off of Ilya whenever that happens. And then it will be Wes's turn to run with that title. I'm super excited. I'm just excited of all the different prospects of like the different feuds we can get with Ilya and
Agreed.
just a lot of the other folks on the roster. Like Ilya versus Braun would be good.
Oh
Ilya
yeah.
versus even like some of the people I know probably won't win, but it will be amazing. Like Ilya versus Tyler Bate would be
Yeah.
fun. Ilya versus Butch.
Yeah.
Who else would I love to
Nathan
see?
Fraser would be a good one.
Nathan Fraser versus man, that match would rule.
Yeah.
Literally, like anybody. Shoot, even I'll take Duke Hudson versus
Yeah.
Ilya would be
And I think
amazing.
that's probably why this is the way it is, because I can see that story wise, Carmelo was not bad. He was good, but he was one of those that people aren't like, oh, I want to take this away from you. See, Ilya is one of those that it's like, ooh, I want to take this title away from Ilya Dragunov. Imagine if I walk away with the NXT champion title off of Ilya Dragunov. See, that is something to brag about. Taking it off of Carmelo Hayes is nothing to brag about, honestly, in my opinion, because Ilya is so just focused and so crazed, and just, I mean, he just goes, dare I say, balls to the wall in every match he fights. That as a competitor, I would be like, I want to get in there and prove that I can beat him. Carmelo Hayes couldn't beat him, and he was the NXT champion. But I bet I want to get in that ring with him and try to beat him, and I could totally see that. So I agree with you. I think that we're going to see some really good matchups with him, and some cool rivalries come out of it, and maybe even some friendships. I'm really kind of hoping that we see Ilya kind of create some bonds with folks, whomever that may be. But yeah, God, this match was so good.
Oh, it really, really was, and I was so pumped for what the future holds.
Yep, agreed.
And Carmelo's another one, like, and we'll talk about him because I think
Yeah.
I think the direction we're heading with him next, honestly, this was the last thing that he did in NXT. And I was like, Carmelo's another one I think is ready to head to main roster, honestly. Because again, he's been here since NXT has rebranded itself to what it is now. And him and Braun, I think, are both ready to head up to main roster. I think they're ready because it's great. Okay, so that match ruled. And then we get to our main event. Okay, when I tell you, did not know. Like I know what Extreme Rules matches can be, and then this match. First of all, this match got time right. So this match went like a good 25 minutes, and I was like, "Oh my god, yes!" But it didn't feel like 25 minutes because it was that great. But our main event for No Mercy for the NXT Women's Championship in an Extreme Rules match, we had Tiffany Stratton, Barbie Quinn herself, the challenger, taking on Becky Lynch, the man, big time Bex, whatever you want to call her, who is the champion for the NXT Women's Championship. Even before this match started, throughout the night, watching Becky take a shopping cart, go backstage, and like grab items for this match was so fun to watch.
Oh my god, it was so fun. You know, and I loved how they built up to the main event with those little vignettes with Becky just literally shopping cart and just yeah, this is good. So yeah, this is good. This will work. Oh my god, I was laughing so hard, and I was like, oh god, this is going to be a fun match. I knew this was going to be a fun match. Oh my gosh, and it did not disappoint at all.
No, and it didn't disappoint. Like I knew it was going to be good, but I want to say Becky brought it. Like she brought it too. But let me tell you, this was a star-making performance for Tiffany Stratton.
Hell yeah,
and this girl proved that she is a staple in this NXT women's division, and that she is the future for this company. Yeah. Like holy crap, Tiffany did things in this match that I did not think that she was going to be able to do or capable of.
Yeah, me either.
Like just how vicious she was. Her giving that senton, even though the table didn't break all the way, like she put herself through a table with Becky. She was fighting her through the let's break down some of the key moments for this, and then we'll talk about like the implications for us. Like literally within the first couple of minutes, like Becky Lynch is attacking Tiffany with everything in the cart to begin with. And then immediately, not even 5 minutes in, we're fighting amongst the crowd. Becky Lynch grabs like somebody's like toy chain, and she whips jewelry and like whips Tiffany with it and jumps off the stairs. And then it was like first blood, because then Tiffany's bleeding when we get back to the ring. Tiffany throws Becky into the stairs. There was kendo shots, chairs. Literally, Becky manhandled, slammed Barbie Quinn herself in broken Barbie pieces. Like, okay, like the symbolism for that, I was just like, yeah, this is dark, and I love it so much, because it's like Tiffany's the Barbie of NXT, and she's like, I'm gonna break you down like Barbies get broken down by little kids.
Oh my god.
The fire extinguisher spot had me laughing. Tiffany like spearing Becky through the barricade twice, might I add you. And then like rolling, like Tiffany doing the senton off the table into the like computer chair Becky was sitting in. The table spot. The chair. Like this match was so good.
Oh my god.
And again, ultimately, Becky picks up the win here. She retains the NXT Women's Championship, which means I'm happy, which means that Becky's probably going to be sticking around NXT for a little bit. But it makes me more excited, too, because on Monday Night Raw, it's going to be her versus Tegan Nox for that championship. And let me tell you, my inner lesbian is so happy because I got to support my lesbians in Tegan Nox. I love her so much. And it's about time. Becky has been wanting to fight Tegan since Tegan got to this company years ago. But unfortunately, because of injury and also creative not really doing anything with her, Becky has fought tooth and nail because she wants to face Tegan Nox so bad. And I'm excited to see this match happen on Monday Night Raw. But Will, what did you think of this? This was how you do an Extreme Rules match. I'm just going to put it right there. But Will, What do you have to say about this main event between Becky and Tiffany?
Well, you're right. This is an extreme match. This brought me back. I was like, there wasn't a single moment that they weren't hitting each other with something or throwing each other into something, or it was constant. You're right. I mean, all the way up into the audience and back. I mean, they went all the way up. I mean, it was like I mean, Becky was just like, bam, all the handrails, slamming Tiffany into all the handrails. And you're right, and she picked up somebody's necklace and was slapping her with jewelry. I was just like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? And then, of course, the moment that I loved the most, because I was sitting here watching it going, after Becky had hit her with everything in the shopping cart, I was like, girl, you need to hit her with that shopping cart. And then here comes the shopping cart. I was like, yes, threw her in the shopping cart, I was like, and then I love that when Tiffany was literally pulling out all those chairs, I was like, oh my God, what is she going to do with all those chairs? Excuse me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this fight was my match of the night. It was totally my match of the night. I thought Carmelo and Ilya was going to be my match of the night. That was, don't get me wrong, that was an A+ fight. This one for me was like A+++. Because you're right, Tiffany, man, I have never seen her fight like that before. I was just like, holy crap. Okay. So in my brain now, I'm like, girl, you're a serious contender, man. I am so sorry that I underestimated you. And, and I did, and I'll admit it. And it's because of her persona, and I was like, that Barbie Quinn is what I call her. But now Barbie Quinn has a whole new meaning for me because, man, she's pretty like Barbie, but vicious like Quinn. And when she was like whooping on Becky with all the extreme items, I mean, I was just like, damn, she is after blood. She is like, I'm going to kill this bitch in this ring. I mean, that's what it was. And I was like, and I'm going to take that title off of her cold, dead body. I mean, it was like, holy crap. So, yeah, this match ruled, man. I have never in my life have I ever been so vocal and like energized during a match like I was with this one. Man, these two women, man, this is going to go up in my top women's. Because, man, there wasn't a boring moment in this fight. There was never any downtime. Even when they weren't necessarily fighting, it was like they were prepping, and it was no downtime. And man, it was so good. God, it was so good. I knew, and we all knew that Becky was going to retain this title, but there were moments where I was like, I don't know, maybe because Tiffany was like whooping her butt, like more so than in the last time they fought. I was like, Tiffany had this renewed sense of something. Man, she came into this fight like ready to destroy. And I was just like, damn. I mean, it was like, it was, man, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like they were so evenly matched. And at times I felt that Tiffany would actually overpower Becky. There were literally, I was like, wow, where is this coming from? Like, where is all of this? I mean, other than pure hatred for her, but it was like, where is this coming from? Because I want to see this in like your regular matches. I love this Tiffany. I love this Tiffany. So what did I think of this match? Holy fuck, is all I can say. It was so damn good. I mean, holy fuck. When they were like, oh, it's the main event, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. They put a women's match in the main event. Holy hell, it deserved the main event. This was not one of those, oh, let's put the girls in the main event. No, let's put these savage bitches in the main event because holy God, I was afeared for my life, and I was nowhere near them. But I was like, I feared for the audience. I was like, somebody in that audience is going to get a chair to the face, and I'm going to be here for it. And I mean, when she threw it through those barricades, I was like, ooh, good Lord. As an audience member, I would have been like, holy crap. But yeah, man, this fight. See, I get all hyped just talking about it. It was so good. God, it was so good. Man.
Listen, I needed a cigarette after that Ilya and Carmelo one. I needed a towel. I needed some cigarettes. I needed some aftercare after this match.
Yeah. Seriously, it was, man, I did not think I was going to get that worked up over this match. I really didn't. And I did. And let me tell you, I'm a big old gay man, and I was like, hello. These two women fighting have got me going. So I was like, damn, you go, girls. You go. So yeah.
This match ruled. Like I was telling our other co-host Luis, I was messaging him earlier today, and I said that Ilya and Carmelo may be my match of the night, but Becky versus Tiffany is in contention for my match of the year. Like that's how good this was for me. Like regardless whether it be a men's match or a women's match, literally this match is probably in contention for match of the year. And this is the second Becky match that is also in my match of like in contention for match of the year, because Becky and Trish Stratus in that steel cage match at Payback was fucking awesome as well. Becky, since having the Falls Count Anywhere match with Zoe Stark, the cage match with Trish Stratus, and then this match with Tiffany, Becky is in contention right now to be probably my favorite women's wrestler in WWE right now.
Yeah.
But this, oh my God, this match was everything and so much more.
Yeah, it was.
And this was an amazing match to put in the main event and kind of end the show. And I put that in air quotes because we get the final shot of Becky holding that title up. But that's not how the show goes off the air. We go off the air where we go backstage, and Trick is backstage, and in comes Carmelo, and Trick ends up comforting Carmelo because Carmelo has a full breakdown, like crying because he lost, like the pressure is there. But I noticed he kept looking at Trick's title as he was doing this. So, oh my goodness, the turn is coming. I cannot wait. Poor Trick Williams is going to get his little heart broken. And I think the last thing that Carmelo should do, if it is his turn to go out to the main roster, I think this final feud with Trick needs to be the one to take out Carmelo in the sense that he needs to beat him.
Agreed.
Whether it's for the North American Championship, if it's just like some sort of grudge match, Carmelo is the perfect. They have set Trick to be the perfect person to be the one to send Carmelo off to main roster by beating him in one final match in NXT.
Agreed.
Because just from a storytelling standpoint, that would be such a beautiful full 360 story. They started together, they worked through things. Carmelo has always been on top, but now that the shoe is on the other foot, I don't know if Carmelo can handle it, and I don't think he will. And poor Trick is going to get his little heart broken, but through this, Trick is going to become a stronger champion and a stronger wrestler by overcoming this obstacle. And the potential for storytelling is amazing. Yeah. And that is officially how No Mercy ends the air as it goes off the air. Okay. Will this pay-per-view, minus some of the gripes I had overall as like a whole product, this pay-per-view was fantastic. This was a phenomenal show. And yes, there are some parts that we critiqued about it, and we already said our piece on it, but Will, honestly, I'm so happy the way that it turned out, because honestly, for me personally, I was happy with how I felt, and I was super happy to see your thoughts, because this was a perfect first pay-per-view for NXT for you to pop the proverbial NXT pay-per-view cherry on this podcast.
I agree. I thought this was a pretty damn good pay-per-view. Now, I mean, this is my first one. So I have no true context from, or point of reference really. But I still thought it was pretty damn good, and I always give NXT credit where credit is due, and their storytelling is fantastic, minus the couple of areas, but overall their consistency in storytelling is pretty spot on, and this proved it even more so. So yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Alrighty. So before we sign off for this review, we have two things that are left to do. We are first, let's start with the hotness corner. Since it is Los Chicos Gordos, we will do the hotness corner. So for NXT No Mercy, who are your men and women's choice for the hotness corner for No Mercy?
Okay, so the women, I am actually going, and this is probably going to be like some people going, what is Miss Barbie Quinn herself? Because of that match she was in, I have a whole new respect for her. Whole new respect for her. She completely flipped my whole psyche on its ear, and that's hot. And so she is in my hotness corner for the women, and because I love me some Becky, but man, Tiffany really, really showed it for me tonight. I was so impressed with her. So impressed with her. Now, the men is a little different because I could go off of what I find attractive or I could go off what I found attractive. So if I go off what I found attractive, which is probably the way I should go, is my men's choice would be Ilya Dragunov. Because, good God, his ferociousness in that ring, his rawness, I mean, it just pulled me in. It just pulled me in. I was like, I'm yours. Do what you want with me. I don't care. Throw me around, whatever. I don't care. Hit me with a chair. I'm fine with that too. So those are my choice, my picks, because both of these wrestlers really showed me something tonight that I was just like, woof, woof. So there they are.
Oh,
literally,
I love it.
Woof.
Yeah. I agree with you. My hotness corner for the women is Tiffany, as for the reasons you said. But this was a star-making performance for her. Like, this girl is the future for WWE, and with more training and more experience, like, I'm so excited to see what she would do on the main roster. And then Ilya is the men's as well for the same reasons. I was just like that ferocity, but just as a wrestling fan following Ilya since he became a part of NXT UK to where we are now, he has everything he has everything going for him in terms of what, in my opinion, a bona fide wrestling superstar is. He's the whole package. He has the charisma, he has the skills, he has the passion. And to me, that is sexy in like a different way than normal. Like, I'm excited to see where this championship reign for Ilya goes. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to see what the next chapter for Tiffany looks like now that it seems that I think we can put this feud between her and Becky to rest for a little bit for now. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if they want to revisit it later, I'm not going to be upset about it. Like, honestly, I'd be fine with it, but I'm excited to see where the next chapters for both of them go.
I would love to see them on a tag team. Where,
like, we beat the shit out of each other. Now let's go beat the shit out of other
people. Yeah,
oh my gosh, Becky and Tiffany versus like Thea and JC would be such a dream for me.
God, that would be fantastic. I'd be all over that. All over it.
I'd love to see it. Alrighty, the last thing we need to do is we need to give our final rating. So this is going to be the tough part. So I'm going to use the 10 scale for this because I think it's only fair because, wrestlers in wrestling, we have the 10 count. Again, I feel that even though, despite some of my gripes with a lot of this, there wasn't even the first match, as much as I didn't like it, there wasn't really necessary from a fundamental standpoint, there wasn't anything inherently bad about that first match. And really, there wasn't anything too bad about this pay per view, minus some gripes I had here and there. I will say, because of the ending of the Heritage Cup match, it kind of brought the score down a little bit. But even then, I am confident in saying that for No Mercy, I give this a solid 8 out of 10 for the pay per view. Again, the most of the points got knocked off from the ending of the Heritage Cup. But if I take that out of the picture and focus on everything else that we got for this pay per view, this was a solid pay per view. And NXT for me continues to prove why not only are they most consistent when it comes to the booking decisions they make, even though some of them are questionable, their pay per views have been stellar. And there really hasn't been a bad pay per view this whole entire year for me for NXT. So that is why I give NXT's No Mercy a solid 8 out of 10.
Excuse me. Okay, so I give NXT's No Mercy a 8.5 out of 10. And it's mostly because of the reasons that you said as well. The end of the Heritage Cup really, really pissed me off. Now, the reason I did not, and probably most people thought I would give it a lower grade, and the reason I didn't give it a lower grade is because I literally in my brain rearranged things and put the Breaker Corbin in the pre-show, and I put Blair and Kalani in the actual main card. So I was like, I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen, and I'm just going to look at it this way. And so 8.5, because the only true thing that really brought it down for me was really the ending of that Heritage Cup really pissed me off. And the tag team was okay. But everything else was stellar out of the box. And so I think for it being my first pay-per-view, I thought it was pretty damn good. I really enjoyed it. And again, NXT is so good at the storytelling and keeping the consistency across the board. I really like that the pay-per-view matched the individual episodes, that there was no deviation. Like, we got sort of like the storyline conclusion, or denouement as they used before. And I really like that about NXT. I like that they're consistent that way. Also, can I just say before we say goodbye that the announcers were salty during this pay-per-view. Like, they were to each other.
It was crazy. Like, Vic Joseph and Booker T were out for blood against each other. It was nuts. And I kind of liked it.
It was fun.
It kind of fit the moniker of No Mercy. Mm-hmm. I was like, literally, no mercy.
Yeah, they were salty to each other. I was like, well, all right, girls, calm down.
I was like, girl, calm down.
Yeah, seriously.
It's like, everybody needs to chill. Man, Will, congratulations. You finally finished your first NXT pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And actually, this is your first NXT pay-per-view review with me, which makes me happy. It makes my little heart full. I love getting to review NXT with you. And again, don't tell the other co-hosts, but you're my favorite. No, but the 9 of us here at the Bi-Conics have become such a beautiful, dysfunctional family when it comes to professional wrestling, that everybody offers something, from whether we've been watching for a long time or if we just are coming back to it. One of the beautiful things about this community is that no matter where you're at, when it comes to your level of wrestling knowledge, you are always welcome to come talk with us, as we do here at the NXT reviews, the pay-per-view reviews, and all of the other stuff we got going on. So if you want to hear more of these discussions and want to get involved with these kinds of conversations, you should check out the other reviews we have going on. We pretty much cover all of the weekly television shows and all of the pay-per-views. A little sneak peek, not only will you get this review, but this week you will also get the AEW Wrestle Dream pay-per-view, which is being revealed by some pretty solid guys, not as cool as Will, just kidding. Um, but no, the AEW guys are gonna bring it like we brought it here, and I'm super excited to see that review for them. If you want to get notified when these said videos go live, you can follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod. We're pretty much everywhere from Twitter, or X, whatever the kids want to call it these days. We have a Facebook page, Instagram, the YouTube channel already. We got a TikTok that is slowly going to be getting videos soon because I learned how to make clips and they are beautiful. So I can't wait for people to hear all our shenanigans. And speaking of shenanigans, if you want to see what we're like more unhinged when we're not recording for YouTube and just freely speak our minds on professional wrestling, you should check out the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast, wherever podcasts can be found. It is more unhinged, it is super chaotic, and it is a hot mess, but all in the best ways possible.
Yes. I have not had a chance to do that one yet.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to get you on there eventually. And we are coming up to the end of the year pretty soon. So we are, regardless of what your skill level is, we will get everyone together for our end of the year review where we'll talk about like who our favorite wrestlers were, matches, all that good stuff. And where we're going to fight about why you're right and wrong. And here's the reasons. I'm super excited for when we get to that. But that is going to be it for this Ringmasters of review. When we come back, like I said, you will check out the AEW crew reviewing Wrestle Dream, and then you will just have to check out what other surprises we got going on this week. But this has been the Los Chicos Gordos crew signing off for the NXT No Mercy PLE review. Remember, from me and Will, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, stay Bi-Conic, you beautiful peoples. Until next time, we'll see you later. Ta-ta for now.